First of all, on behalf of all the authors, I would like to thank the ASPLOS Program and Steering Committee for selecting our paper for this award. So, why build a VLIW? The promise of VLIW is, of course, huge parallel instruction issue with no problematic control hardware. A constraint is that all operations need to be deterministic so the compiler can schedule resources, i.e., e.g., write ports, properly. Fanning out a program counter to the 8 boards in a trace 28 means branches will be slow. Hence our early beat, late beat instruction issue for non-floating point operations. The pressure is on the compiler now to create correct code and to run in reasonable time. The Yale Bulldog compiler was written in Lisp and dog slow. That was a little scary. But after porting to C++, it was plenty fast and always rock solid. Code quality got better rapidly and steadily over time, a testament to the strength of that team. Looking back, all of us agreed that our time at Multiflow was one of the most intense and incredible experiences of our lives. So how did the authors end up at Multiflow? I met Bob Caldwell at CMU in '77, where we collaborated on building a digital music synthesizer for our master's degrees. After CMU, I joined Prime Computer and worked with Dave Papworth as debug leads on the 9950 mini supercomputer. I discovered that Dave was an amazing engineer, and I also learned what makes teams succeed. John O'Donnell, known as JOD, lured us to Multiflow in '84. Early Yale drawings of the interconnect showed a crazy-looking thing impossible to build with a lot of cables, really scary. Soon, another scare, a JOD whiteboard session with zillions of board types and a huge backplane. Luckily, sanity prevailed, and we had only 5 board types and a backplane at the limit of, but not over, a buildable pin density. However, it did require a rubber mallet to seat the boards properly. Bob Caldwell finished his PhD and joined us as we started debugging, the fun part. Among other things, Bob brought up the hairy complex object code compression decoder, a pile of 22v10 pals, if you remember what those were. He was also a major contributor to the next machine, which sadly didn't get built, but thankfully Bob wrote an awesome paper that was recognized by this award. Bob Nix was a member of the incredible software team. I spent many hours bouncing ideas off of him, and I'm forever grateful that he stepped in and convinced JOD that the instruction compression mask word idea was a good one. JOD's first response was, "Have you lost your mind?" For most of us, Multiflow was our first experience working at a startup. That startup environment was sometimes stressful, but also very, very rewarding. Even though MSCI didn't succeed as a business, we felt pretty good about what we accomplished. LIWs and VLIWs never went away. They went on to dominate media and DSP in huge volumes. So I'm the only one of the authors that's still working building computers, so I get to tell you what the future of computation might hold. For the last 15 years, I've been at Google, and for the last 6 years, working on the physical design of Google's large TPU systems. Norm Jupy says I'm allowed to describe these TPUs as SIMD SLIW machines, i.e. single instruction, multiple data, somewhat long instruction word computers. Clearly, 322 bits of instruction word do not make a VLIW. In some ways, the Trace was more versatile than a TPU. It runs Unix. TPUs don't support virtual memory and have no caches. Instructions come from a control store loaded via DMA. How retro. State-of-the-art processors and the full TPU system do a better job. The gradual slowdown of lithoscaling creates a growing impetus for progressively more specialized machines to keep up with computational demands, i.e. use enormous parallelism to make up for the lack of scaling. I suspect many of these machines will look a lot like SIMD SLIWs. I'm hopeful, tongue firmly in cheek, that we'll use ML to synthesize high-quality architectures for specific problems and then use ML-optimized synthesis and placement to cast it to silicon. If we can do that, then you can bootstrap. You can cast that entire process into hardware as well. We'll have a specialized machine that builds new machines from a problem statement. Next, we'll use that machine to build new versions of itself as technologies change. This is not really anything new. Moore's law's growth always relied on machine n-1 to build machine n. I look forward to seeing what the future holds. Thank you very much for listening, and please enjoy the conference.